Okay, I know I'm a little late, but this is what, episode 3, 4, and 5 of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. So let's get through it. Okay, starting off on episode 3, Norman finds out about Peter's secret identity from the last episode, which goes on into this with him trying to be his mentor per se, and he trying to get to work with Peter rather than having Peter out by himself. I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of him knowing his identity, but I guess it works for now. You know, the dynamic eventually evolves throughout the 3 episodes, which you're gonna talk about, but I didn't really like it at first. It didn't really seem right to me, but you know, we can go with that. I really like Nico. Nico is a really good friend for Peter because Peter goes to her and talks, and she gives him the real. Like she says, she doesn't want him to have a life basically focused around some person that he doesn't really know. He wants to stay close to his family and friends, but really it's probably like a deeper meaning to that because she probably likes him. Lonnie gets pulled away from school because his brother gets in trouble with a gang. That is a crazy plot line because it evolves to, you see Lonnie become worse and worse and worse because he has to take on that responsibility because his brother made a bad decision. It sucks to see too. Like, Lonnie's such a good character. Having him have to deal with something like that kind of like hurts to see. It's like, ooh, no, bro, don't do that. Don't go there. Don't do this. Don't do that. And he does everything you don't want him to do. And it really hurts to see that. The villains in this episode, though, I'm not a big fan of. Big Don or whatever, whoever he is, I don't care about him. And then these 2 random villains that seem to just come out of nowhere, I don't think there are any people in the comics that I know of. Honestly, they're not any regular Spider-Man villains that I've really come across. They may be something, you know, I'm not the most well informed on it, but for me, I don't really know. I don't really like them. They don't really give me anything when I watch these episodes. Like these new villains that they just thrown in, like these 2 and the next villain, the unicorn girl. Oh my god, I hate it. I hate the Octavius Tech or whatever it is. I don't like that. I don't like the villains. Throw me some regular Spider-Man villains in there somewhere. Like, we're 5 episodes in and we don't have any original Spider-Man villains. That's actually kind of crazy. But yeah, that's really just it. Like, the episode focuses on Norman helping Peter and Norman becoming more of a guy in a chair for Peter for this episode in particular, because the next one segues off into something else. And you know, like, Norman's personality is kind of really good. Like, seeing a Norman Osborn that actually wants to help out is crazy. Like, most of the time you're like, is he gonna turn bad? Is he gonna turn bad? Is he gonna turn bad? But then he ends up just doing the right thing every single time, and it's subverting your expectations, which is a good thing, because having our expectations subverted gives the story some weight. You get what I'm saying? Like, we normally get the Norman turns on Peter aspect, but if Norman is a good guy and then eventually something happens to where him and Peter disagree and then he turns evil, it's giving us even more reasons to be like, no, don't turn evil, just like Lon. You know what I'm saying? That's basically episode 3. Episode 3 was really nothing too crazy. We're gonna segue straight. Episode 4 gives us some Easter eggs for Marvel. Like, basically every event that has happened in the MCU before Avengers Infinity War is like canon, basically. Like Civil War, the Sokovia Accords, Ultron, all those things happen. And Norman even explains, like, that we need new heroes other than the ones that are using robots and then letting the robots turn on them and stuff like that. Like, these things happened in the universe. Spider-Man just wasn't involved in Civil War, which is crazy. Like, I want to see how that turned out. How did the Avengers handle that without Spider-Man there? Like, did Cap and them win? Like, is it different? Like, it said that Cap and Bucky were on a run, but you know, what happened differently? Like, everything couldn't happen the same. I do like the aspect of this episode that Spider-Man switches to different outfits from the comics. When I think he was trying to protect his identity, so he kept making different personas, and they threw those outfits in this episode, and he kept switching throughout the episode. Like, Norman would give him a different outfit and they never worked out, which makes sense. But Norman trying to enforce Peter being a different hero other than who he is, and eventually realizing that we might as well just make him what he wants to be. Like, we're trying to make him all these other different superhero names, just make him Spider-Man, give him a Spider-Man costume. And they gave him the Future Foundation suit. I'm not a fan of that. Let's get that straight now. I do not like that they gave him the Future Foundation suit, but it does look kind of good. The animation's still janky though. I do not like the animation of this show. The storyline of this show is really good. Like, I like how Peter has to handle different things, and the characters around him are very well fleshed out, but the animation style will never be good to me. I cannot stand it. Lonnie gets deeper and deeper into the gang, like trying to stay positive and do the right thing, but he keeps running into issues with Don calling him, like he's trying to go to practice, and Don's calling him to come get in a gang war against Matt Gargan, the Scorpion. It's crazy. And then he sees it as like he has to protect his family now because they've seen his face. Like, he had to go do something for Big Don. So now the Scorpion gang knows what he looks like, and that's not good. And he has to stay with the gang to protect his family now, which sucks even worse because now he's integrated into it, and now he's seen by a different gang. So now he has even more problems other than, being in the gang. Now he has to deal with people trying to come for him and maybe his family, and that's crazy. That's actually crazy. great. Like, they really doing his storyline really well. In this episode, Spider-Man does stop to save civilians instead of chasing the vehicles, and I like that they keep doing that. A lot of the times recently, we were getting superhero shows or movies or whatever without people saving heroes, and that was crazy. Like, why are we not doing what they were made to do? And now in these shows, like this show in particular, he's stopping, he's saving people, he's talking to people, he's making sure people are okay, and it just works. It just works, and it sits right with me. Harry finds out that he's Spider-Man too. I don't like that. I don't know why Harry and Norman know now. Like, I always like to juggle between trying to hide his identity. Now, if they're just throwing his identity to everybody, I know Nico's gonna know soon, and then who else? Aunt May, everybody around him. That's not good. He doesn't need that, because every time people know about his identity, it puts them in risk, and he knows that. So he needs to be more careful. Like, when he walked in the room, he should have seen Harry. He didn't just take his mask off for no reason in front of Norman. That's crazy. He would never do that. That's insane. And then Doc Ock. We got Doc Ock as the villain that's putting all these other villains in here. Spider-Man doesn't really do too much in this episode. You know, he switches costumes a lot, but he doesn't fight anybody. He just bonds with Harry for real and tries on their new suits and eventually gets his new suit, but he doesn't really do too much. All right, we're gonna go to episode 5 now. Doc Ock. I really like how they're portraying Doc Ock right now. Like, he's not just the person working under Norman. He's a smart person on his own, and he wants to be better than him and Tony and everybody else. And he's just maniacal, and I like his little theme in the background. I don't know if y'all heard that, but he has a little theme, and if that's his theme, I'm gonna love it. It's like very sinister. I loved it when I heard it in the background. Harry joins Team Spider-Man along Norman and Peter, and you know, they start bonding. Like, they're talking about like superheroes, and apparently Captain America is Peter's favorite superhero in his universe, which is great. I love that. And his costume, his blue and red, are inspired by having Captain America's colors, which is crazy, right? Like, that's such a Peter Parker thing to do. I love that. Like, when Peter admires the heroes and isn't on the Avengers, that's the way it's supposed to be. He's not supposed to be on the Avengers. He's supposed to be they're always supposed to invite him. He's like, no, I'm not big time. Like, I just work for the little guy. I love that. I hope they keep this up, Peter. I hope Peter doesn't, like, he learns from his lesson with Norman, because I know it's gonna go bad. I hope he learns his lesson and doesn't stay with Norman and realize, like, I don't need the Avengers. I don't need anybody else. I just need to be me and follow what I think is right. I feel like eventually it's gonna come to a point where he can't listen to Norman and Harry and what they want. He just gotta trust himself. And I want him to trust himself. The villains are so fucking random. I don't know. Like, this unicorn girl, I don't like it. The fight scenes in this show do not look good at all. I'm not a fan of them. I'm not a fan of Peter does in these fight scenes. I'm not a fan of what the villains do. It looks slow, boring, corny. But the storyline is the part that gets me. That's gonna bring me back every time. How Peter is, how he acts, how good of a person he is. That's always gonna drive me back, because I know they understand Spider-Man. It's just the animation style does not fit this show. I can't get over it. It doesn't look good at all. And then it could look good, like the comic panel, like when they split them in half and it looks like a comic panel. That could be fire in 2D animation, but they want to stick with this 3D shit, and it's terrible. We don't need this. And I hope season 2 gets a big upgrade in animation. Just give it a couple more. Like, I think it's like greenlit for 3 seasons now. Give it some more. Give it some more money, some more time. It looks like an unfinished product, honestly. It looks like unfinished animation, and that's not good. Also, a good time to mention Peter's voice acting. Whoever this voice actor is, he's doing a fantastic job. I love how Peter sounds. I love Peter and who he is and how he acts. I love that. I love the actor for Peter. And he sounds they're using a more New York accent for him, and I love that. Like, he's not just supposed to sound like no regular kid. He literally lives in New York City. Give him something, give him some spike, make him talk a specific way, do certain things with the voice acting. Don't just be regular. You know, Lonnie gets into a fight with the Scorpion gang, with Big Don and them, and he actually saves Big Don from Scorpion, which is crazy. Like, you know, you would rather him take him out so you don't have to worry about it anymore, but I guess it would be repercussions. It's a slippery slope, but I would have not saved him. I would have let him go down. I would have been cool, left the gang, let them other people take over. It doesn't matter. That's not your problem. You are not a superhero. You do not need to save your community. Get up out of there. That gang is gonna not protect y'all. That gang is extorting people, robbing stores and all that. They're not about to protect you. Leave that alone. But one thing I do want to say before I finish this up, these characters could be in the MCU. Like Norman Osborn could just be somewhere in the background. Peter in the MCU just couldn't know him. Like, this could be an alternate universe of the MCU where all these characters exist. They just met each other in different ways. And I would love to see this Norman Osborn in live action. Like, make him evil. Just make him strictly evil in live action. And in this, he's a good guy. It'd be a good contrast, and have Harry be the Harry he normally is. Just use these actors that they're using in the show. Makes complete sense. It will work. They could just be background MCU characters anyways. Norman could be a popular person in the world. Like, Tony isn't the only rich inventor on Earth. Like, there could be other people they just haven't shown us yet. Y'all can just throw these into the movies and it'll be completely fine. Just explain it properly. Harry taking over the role as the guy in the chair actually works for me like really well, because Harry is Peter's best friend. I'm tired of Ned Leeds being Peter's best friend. I don't like Ned Leeds. No offense to the actor, no offense to what they do in the movies, but I do not like Ned Leeds as his best friend. Ned is just not a good character. Like, he doesn't do anything. All he does is sit there and talk about how Peter's a superhero. Like, they don't really expand on his character. If you had Harry, he could be like if you had Harry in the movies, he could be the Harry from the comics and the TV shows that is hated by his father, but Peter isn't hated by his father, and Harry gets into drugs and all this other stuff to make it a more compelling story, rather than just Ned Leeds always being there cracking jokes. We don't need that all the time. That's not necessary. And I actually love that Harry loves his dad in this. Like, Harry and his dad have a good relationship instead of "I hate you, son. You're not what I wanted. Peter's what I wanted." Like, it's a different type of show, and they're expanding on it in a good way. Like, it's not cringe. It's not corny. They're doing it the right way. They're making their relationship like realistic. Like, that's how a real father and son would act if they were together. And Harry being homeschooled is crazy. Like, he doesn't have any friends, any genuine friends, so he connects with Peter because they actually had a conversation. Like Peter isn't using him for anything. Peter's just talking to him as a friend, and they're just having regular conversations and bonding. And Peter invites him out with Nico, and they make the movie together, even though Nico didn't like it for real. Peter is actually genuinely connecting with Harry like he should be all the time. Yeah, that's basically the plot of all those episodes, man. I really enjoyed this show. The villains suck. Lonnie's great. Nico's great. The show's funny. It's just doing all the right things for me. I don't really know how these next couple episodes are going to go, but I really want to see where Doc Ock is heading. I want to see if he's going to be complete Doc Ock, or are they going to just wait till the next season. They could wait till the next season, but the way the season's going is already one of the best Spider-Man cartoons out, like, ever. The 90s cartoon and Spectacular is always going to be the best, but this is better than anything else other than those two, for sure. And I want to see the next episode. If y'all like this, let me know. We can get into some more. I'm gonna come back for the next episodes. All right, I'm out.